What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Sunday edition of Turf Talk. As always, I am one half of your host, Dylan Davis. You can give me a follow on Twitter at DylanJD98. And to my left, another key component to Team DSM Media, a host of 19 different shows. Phil Stifle, guys. Give him a follow on Twitter at Beard and Knowledge. Phil, what's going on, man?
Dude, I thought I would have a day off from doing shows,
Yeah,
but then,
not today.
Someone's got to sub in for Scotty, right?
We got to keep you on your toes.
That's right.
That's what it is.
I don't do enough already.
That's what it is. And if Scotty and Parcera are tuning in, or I'll hit up Scotty and maybe we'll see how they're doing down there in East Rutherford and see if they got a moment to pop in and see how the tailgate's going. But listen, man, we got a lot to talk about today. A little bit of a drama story coming up soon. We'll talk about that as well. But yeah, week 13 is here. Eagles, Jets, we'll dive into that. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is questionable, game time decision. So will it be Minshew? Will it be Hurts today? And then we'll just go over some of the other key games that stick out to us on the week 13 slate, give our pigskin picks, and then we'll see what else we have in store for today. But guys, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button on our YouTube, at DSM Media, and of course on Twitter, where you can find everything at DSM_media. Our link tree is in our bio there. And of course, we are brought to you by Manscaped. Phil, first of all, this game is less than exciting, if I can phrase it that way.
Why do you think it's less than exciting? Because honestly, it's so important, this game at this moment. I mean, the Eagles are selling their team and the Eagles are selling their fan base that they're a playoff team. Like we know, most logical fans knew going into this season there were minimal expectations coming into this season, right? But they're still selling us that it's an important season. So if they're selling us that we have a chance, if they're selling their team that they have a chance, this game is a 110% must win, and not just a must win game. Whether it's Minshew or Hurts quarterbacking, it is a must win handily, must win convincingly game. So it's a lot more important than people are giving it credit for, because after last week against the Giants, they have to win today. And they need to win by 2 touchdowns. Doesn't matter who's in quarterback.
It's definitely important in terms of playoff expectations, but I have none of those. And I look across the table at the opponent that we're facing today, and I don't care if it's Jalen Hurts, I don't care if it's Gardner Minshew. I look at this game and I look at that defense and I look at all the injuries that the New York Jets have going on right now, and that quarterback who's 9 yards past the line of scrimmage, flipping a ball to a running back's back for an interception. And I look at that and I put it all together and I'm just like, I'm not excited, because this should be what you just explained.
Right.
Like, I don't care who. I don't think this Eagles team is a good team by any stretch of the imagination. They should beat the Jets no matter who's at quarterback handily today. And if they don't, then we really know what this team is this season. But yeah, that's what I meant. The opponent is just less than. It's like, oh man,
yeah, the opponent is boring. But this is the type of game where we should be able to get excited, get really fired up, have a great first half. You know, just blow them out of the water, as I projected before the Hurts situation and Minshew thing, happened. I'm like saying it's 21-0, 24-3 at half. And then we could switch over to the Union game and cheer on our Union. That's the hope and expectation. So I'm excited for them to blow them out in the first half, so I don't even have to watch the second half of the game.
Yeah, until they don't, and we're sitting here pulling our hair out. What are you doing at halftime? But all right, man, listen, I feel like there's a lot to go over on the offensive side of the ball. There's a lot of storylines on that part. So let's cover the defensive side first. What do the Eagles need to get done today defensively? What does Jonathan Gannon need to draw up today defensively to be successful against Zach Wilson and this New York Jets offense?
Well, they have to continue the upward trend that they've had lately of being aggressive on defense. You've seen slowly the last couple of weeks a little bit more blitzing, a little bit more press coverage, and it's just slowly tweaking up here. The Jets, between their 19 different quarterbacks that they've had out there this year, have 19 interceptions thrown. They've also had 11 fumbles lost. So this is a team that turns the ball over excessively, and that's something that the Eagles don't do on defense, create turnovers.
Yeah.
So if they're going to continue their upward trend on defense, they need to take advantage of the fact that this team doesn't take care of the football. 30 turnovers, plus I had it down from my notes from the other day somewhere here. It's an insane amount of sacks that they give up, the Jets offensive line. So the Eagles need somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 5 turnovers / sacks at a minimum to even to be able to say that was a dominant performance.
Sure. Yeah, the way I look at it is this: you mentioned turnovers. They haven't caused many they haven't forced many as a unit, but one guy in particular has, and he is a key leader on that defensive side of the ball. So it's Fletcher Cox, etc. Today needs to be a day where the vets, where the leaders on the defensive side of the ball, come out strong and come out fast against a lesser opponent. Because if they don't, then I fear the rest of the defense won't. And somehow, some way, Zach Wilson and this offense will be able to move the ball. If you look at the numbers, it's nothing great, but the Jets somehow, with their 19 different quarterbacks this year, are 11th in passing yards per game. Now, that might be because they're down all the time and they have to just throw the ball through the air. They're 29th in rushing yards per game with 86. So the Eagles need to stop the run, and their veteran and leaders on the defensive side of the ball, Darius Slay, Rodney McLeod, Steven Nelson, Fletcher Cox, they have to set the tempo today, and they have to get after Zach Wilson and company early, because that'll set the tone for TJ Edwards and Marcus Epps and whoever else is on that side of the ball today. Will be able to make plays after that. But
a great way to create turnovers is batted balls. And it's something I've been talking about a lot this year, that the Eagles, they haven't gotten home with the sacks, obviously. Obviously, Javon Hargrave early in the season had a bunch of sacks in the first few games. But for the most part, we're not getting home. Well, if you can't get home, the next best thing is to put your hands up, right before the quarterback throws the ball. And they don't do enough of that. You get your hands up, you bat that ball. That's where those linebacker interceptions come from. That's where those, DN interceptions come from. So at the very least, a team that doesn't take care of the ball, just get your hands up.
Right.
Let that ball bounce around. Who knows what will happen? And you bring up the running game, stop the run. That's something that scares me a little bit, because obviously their main running back is out now for the year. He's on IR. Now they got Tavon Coleman, who was the lead back last week. And people forget Tavon Coleman's a third-string running back now. But when he was in Atlanta, when he was part of that Devontae Freeman, Tavon Coleman backfield, he did specifically what the Eagles struggle to do, and that is get to the outside and catch balls out of the backfield. So that, to me, on defense, I'm not worried about stopping Zach Wilson. I'm worried about stopping Tavon Coleman, because him against our linebackers, him against Alex Singletary, it's not good. There's a potential for that to be a disaster written all over it.
No, he is one of those gadget-esque little speed backs that always give the Eagles fits. So I hope that's not the case today. All in all, I'm not expecting much of an issue, much of a struggle defensively. I hope I'm right. I normally am never this confident when it comes to the Eagles defense this year, but I just look at that opponent. Corey Davis is doubtful. Like you said, Michael Carter's on the IR. They're missing a bunch of guys. Zach Wilson just came back. Their offensive line is beat up.
They still have some weapons at wide receiver. Even if
Elijah Mitchell,
you got Moore, you got Crowder. You've got guys that can catch the ball. I mean, but they're all number 2 and number 3, so they don't inflict a lot of fear in you. Moore, yes, he's starting to trend up the last 2 or 3 weeks, but none of them really inflict fear. They're all number 2s. They're all number 3s. But
100%.
Again, they can throw the ball, obviously, but most of their throwing comes from behind. So I'm not worried about that much. I just want to see that excessively dominant front 4 get after the quarterback, get sacks. If not, at least hit him and rattle him. Because, I mean, he's got 4 interceptions in a game. He's got a load of interceptions. And, you can rattle a young Zach Wilson very easily, even if you're just knocking him on his butt a few times.
Well, I think something that's very important, and we'll move on to the offensive side of the ball in a second, but something that's very important that you talked about earlier is just keep that upward trend of being aggressive and press coverage and getting a man-to-man and not allowing the soft cover throws, right? Well, something that when I had Hembo on the show 2 weeks ago or so, he laid out a stat that the Eagles' defensive line, their front 4, had the best, I forget what the stat was, but basically win percentage at the line of scrimmage. So they are the number 1 unit in beating their guys off the line of scrimmage. They just weren't getting home. You weren't seeing the sack totals because Gannon's defense is soft as baby shit, and it's 8 yards off the line of scrimmage, and it's quick hitters, and it's everything we saw before. And if you stop that, this aggressive defensive line can only rush 4 or 5 and potentially get home, and that's what I hope you can see today. All right, let's move over to the offensive side of the ball, and let's get to the biggest story.
I've been dreading talking about this because I know it's going to be a conversation all week long, and I just don't want to have it.
Well, the funny part is it's something we talked about 6 weeks ago, is it not?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's something we said. Why, like, let's just throw him out there for a game and see what the difference is. Why are you dreading it now, though?
Because it's
Because
not
of
that
the
I
game
dread it.
Hurts
Because
had
yes,
last week?
I did say earlier in the year we had to learn whether Hurts was holding Sirianni back as a play caller or Sirianni was, who was holding who back. And yeah, I know I said that. But now Hurts has been on an upward trend other than last week, for the most part. Sirianni's been an upward trend. I just fear that the Hurts haters out there, it's just going to we know how the divide happens in Philly sports with backup quarterbacks and starting quarterbacks. It's the Jets. Minshew will look good today. There's no doubt about it. He is not a great quarterback, but this Jets defense is atrocious. So me or you could go out there and probably throw a touchdown today against the Jets. All you got to do is throw the ball up there and Smith will get Look, I just don't want the Hurts haters and the Minshew Mania guys to just be coming out of the woodwork for whatever reason. Because Hurts did not lose his job today because he didn't play well. He lost it, because he's hurt.
Injury.
He's still the quarterback. All I really want today, before the game starts or as soon as the game ends, I want Nick Sirianni to say, Jalen Hurts is our starting quarterback. He is being benched today because he's injured, but as soon as he's healthy after the bye, he will be the starting quarterback. Make a definitive statement like that, and then the controversy doesn't exist. Then we could just talk about Sirianni's play calling or Gardner Minshew, how he works as a backup. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to see. That makes the controversy less of a controversy and just more stupid fanboys and stuff like that.
Listen, there should be no quarterback controversy. I know there will be starting month tomorrow, depending on how this game goes. There will be. There shouldn't be. The Minshew Mania shit, it's funny, whatever. I hate it. Like, I have a list of athletes I cannot stand. I'm going to make a t-shirt out of it. He is number 2 or 3 on that list, the whole Minshew Mania shit. Today, I'll probably love it. But after this, it is the New York Jets. There is no quarterback controversy. And I get it's the New York Jets defense. But if he comes out and is doing things in the passing game, and Sirianni's calling plays in the passing game, and Goddard and Smith have 7-8 catches each today.
Or as Kid says, Reagor unlocked.
Yeah, right. It's not a controversy between the two of those guys. It creates the narrative going forward, or not creates the narrative, but it pushes the narrative that Jalen Hurts probably isn't the future of this organization,
right?
Because he can't unlock that side with his arm. That's my stance. Like, I'm not a Jalen Hurts hater. I've talked to you enough to where I think you know that, but I have yet to see enough from the kid by far, and I don't think he has the arm to play starting quarterback in the National Football League.
Right. But Jalen Hurts, while we haven't seen enough to say yes or no, the ceiling of Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, is still a lot higher than Gardner Minshew. We know what Gardner Minshew is. Here. Gardner Minshew is a 1-7 his last year in Jacksonville as a starter. 1-7. Let me repeat that one more time. 1-7. Okay, and he had same mediocre weapons on offense that we do here. They had Juice Robinson, I think, was still their running back last year too. Look, we know what Gardner Minshew is. He is actually kind of like Nick Foles in a sense. He is just a really good backup to have on your team, especially at his cheap price. He's still on his rookie deal and stuff like that. So I don't really, there should be no controversy. And that's why I'm sticking to the point. It's up to Nick Sirianni to make sure there is no controversy. Make a definitive statement. Yes, we don't know if Hurts is or not. Minshew may prove that Hurts' deficiencies even more. But still, unless you're drafting a quarterback in the first round or going out and getting Russell Wilson or, one of those pipe dream quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts has done enough where his ceiling is high enough where he is still the starting quarterback next year. Because you're not going to turn the keys over to Gardner Minshew. You're just not going to do that. So what other options do you have? So you have to make the definitive statement, Hurts is our guy. What's this?
What other options do I have? Number 3.
Russell Wilson. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be obnoxious about that all offseason because I'm going to want it forever. But I've wanted the Russell Wilson Eagles jersey since he was in the draft. But did you see something on Twitter the other day? Somebody tried to go on the NFL shop.
I think it was Vince Quinn.
Was it Vince Quinn tried to go order a Russell Wilson Eagles jersey? They wouldn't let you
tried to customize it, and they wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
Well, only he would do that. But yeah, man, I hear you. There's no argument out of me from that front. There should be no controversy between Gardner Minshew should start the rest of the season. Gardner Minshew is the future. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop
And
it.
there's going to be a lot of that when
Oh, I
he starts well
know.
today.
You got people dressing up as Gardner Minshew down in East Rutherford today, which is hilarious. But at the same time, there's going to be people on social media like, yeah, he's my quarterback. But I'm just saying, if I see this offense look different today, albeit against the bad New York Jets, I'm going to have more question marks. Because we can say, oh, it's the New York Jets defense all we want. The Eagles have played some pretty lousy defenses this year in terms
This
of
defense is extra bad.
I know.
There you are. So outside of last week against Houston, when they only gave up 200 yards of offense to Houston, they've got 388, 489, 532, 551, 450, 430. That's a lot of yards they give up per game. I mean, we're not talking about a whole bunch of 400-yard games. We're talking about multiple 500-yard games. They've given up 40-plus points 3 times. They've given up 54 points in a game. They've only held their opponents under 24 points 2 times this year. This is probably got to be one of the worst defenses you'll ever go up against.
I hate this kid, yo.
Yeah, I hate him too, Who invited him to the show?
I'd go to war for Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
Coming from the biggest Taylor Heineke fan that I know.
Yeah. Well, that explains a lot right there.
Yeah. All right, let's get past this a little bit because, we're not going to know what happens. We're not going to know if there's a controversy. We're not going to know how the offense looks until 1 p.m. today. So let's not try to just drag it out with what ifs. But there are more what ifs. The last Sports and Metal comment down there, Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. This is going to correlate with that quarterback decision here today, right. Phil.
Yeah.
Do you think you see a big difference in their workload today if Gardner Minshew? I think you see
a big difference in the play calling in general because, Gardner Minshew's not the running quarterback.
Yeah.
So where you'll still see RPOs, you'll still see shotgun, and the same style, but there isn't that threat or as much of a threat of Gardner Minshew running. So, what's Hurts getting? 12, 14, 18 rushes a game normally now. So that's going to be 12 to 14 more passes that are going to be targeted. Right. So it's obvious these guys, Rager's going to have still 6 or 7 targets. Right. Watkins is going to have 6 or 7. Smith and Goddard should be closer to 10 targets because instead of having 15 to 20 passes like Hurts has, you're going to have 25, 28 passes, even if we're up big. So just by the benefit of the change in quarterback, it's going to totally change everybody's targets. So that's obvious. Now, will Gardner Minshew be accurate? Will he have any rust on him because he hasn't really played much this year? He's got 2 passes this year, Gardner Minshew. So, we'll see about all that. But obviously there's going to be more targets and more of a wide receiver and weapon, game plan going on today.
Yeah, like Ginn said, Jalen Reagor breakout day.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought about putting him in one of my fantasy lineups today.
Taylor Heineke deserves 0 strays. Now he's going to get him because we might talk about him a little bit, Kim. But I want to see how Sirianni changes up the offense. Is Gardner Minshew in the gun 85% of the time like Jalen Hurts is? Does he have him lined up on their center a ton? Is it I'm interested to see how much Sirianni adjusts and changes schematically and from a play calling standpoint. Last thing offensively, Phil, before we get to our predictions for today, Miles Sanders, Jason's been commenting about him and the run game as a whole.
Yep.
People last week had this wrong idea that Sirianni got away from the run. Now, some of the run plays look bad. They didn't work, but that game was just about as balanced as you could possibly ask for. He ran the ball a ton. Actually, until the final drive, he ran the ball more than he was throwing the ball last week. And people were just falsely ripping him for getting away from his identity from previous weeks. I think you still see him continue to run the ball today, especially with the backup quarterback in. But how much does Miles Sanders touch the ball today in your opinion?
Well, so it's really funny
last
because
week he didn't get the ball that much.
One of my keys to the game this week was to protect Jalen Hurts by your play calling, by making sure Miles Sanders had 20 touches. Okay, because he was still banged up. When we did my trending for 4 quarters Wednesday night, Hurts was still trending to play, but he had a bum ankle. So you didn't want him running the ball 15 times Hurts. You wanted to make sure Miles Sanders had at least 20 touches to protect Jalen Hurts. That theory of Miles Sanders still getting 20 touches still is accurate, just for different reasons now. Because now you don't have that running quarterback threat. You need to make sure Miles Sanders has 20 touches so that play action can work, so that the defense is drawn in, so Minshew has room to throw the ball. So Miles Sanders needs 20 touches, no matter who the quarterback is. No Jordan Howard still. Boston Scott's, sick. Whether he'll play or not, still a question. So really, they didn't call up anybody from the practice squad. So it's going to be Sanders and Gainwell, maybe a little Boston Scott, and that's it in the running game. So Miles Sanders, 20 touches, protects Gardner Minshew and helps Minshew Mania continue to take off.
Yeah. I just question the process of Nick, like when Sanders is on the field. It's just like we saw it, like from the injury until he came back, it was pound the rock. And it still was with him like back healthy. But when he was on the field, it was like less touches for Miles Sanders, insert Boston Scott and Jordan Howard, and they're getting the ball more. I know he fumbled twice in that Saints game in his debut back. There's the question marks of, does he kind of pity pat in the backfield? Does he not hit a hole? Maybe they're seeing more of that throughout the practice week. I don't know.
That's just the guy that Miles Sanders is. Miles Sanders is a guy that's going to get 10 rushes for 3 yards each. 10 rushes for 30 yards. But he's going to continue. If you pound the ball with him enough, eventually he's going to break that one big play. And he does that. Even in the game when he came back and he had those 2 fumbles, he busted one for like 27 or 28 yards. That is just what Miles Sanders is. He's a pound kind of guy. Eventually he will break one. You just have to stay committed to that. Play action pass doesn't work. How many times have we seen Jalen Hurts throw the ball 40 times a game early in the season, and they're still running play action pass on every single play? Play action pass means absolutely jack crap if you're not actually running the ball, even at least a little bit.
About the RPOs earlier. Earlier in the year, he's running all these RPOs. There's no such thing as an RPO when you don't use the R.
There is no run option. It's a run pass option. If you're not running the ball, the pass option is just so easily defended and all. So, I'm going to stick by it. For us to win this game convincingly, for us to win this game like we all expect us to, Miles Sanders better touch the ball 20 times today. If he's under 20 touches, then this is a close football game.
I hope he has like 18 or 19 just to see.
Just so I'm off by one. 19 touches. Yeah. Just see what happens. He has 20 touches, but the 20th touch, there's a false start. So the play comes back and it doesn't count.
Yeah. All right, Phil. So do the Eagles win today? And what are your predictions for Gardner Minshew and company?
When I made my prediction this week on Wednesday night's show, obviously Hurts was still playing, in my opinion. So, or in the projections and also, but I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to still say 31-13 Eagles.
Wow.
The Jets are just such a bad team. I can say it again. 500 yards multiple times, 40 plus points 3 times this year. Look, Gardner Minshew, Jalen Hurts, go throw Joe Flacco out there. Anybody will put up points against this Jets defense. I just don't doubt it in my mind whatsoever.
We were like 2 weeks off of seeing Gardner Minshew versus Joe Flacco because Zach Wilson came in.
That would have been the battle of the backup. That would have been.
That would have been awesome. Yep. Jason says 31-17.
He hasn't changed his opinion either since Hurts has been ruled out,
Oh, a lot of optimism here. I think the Eagles win. My question is, if Gardner Minshew starts, that Jets defense is so bad. I'm going to say Eagles 24, Jets 13.
And so a little less on offense, but still a double-digit win.
I think here's the thing. If the Eagles put up 31 points, I think the Gardner Minshew crew, if he starts, comes out even more. So because what's going on, Scotty?
Scotty, 40 zip. I bet you that tailgate's going really well. He's predicting 40-0 right now.
Scotty, what are you drinking right now, bro? Don't tell me it's orange juice because it's not.
Yeah. Well, I was drinking orange juice. It was really orange juice.
Yeah, with some champagne in it.
No. Straight orange juice.
All right, man. Let's move on to the rest of this Week 13 slate, Phil. Yep. I do have just a few little side notes and news before we get into what games we're looking at today. Big Ben Roethlisberger came out and said that the season will more than likely he's drinking tequila. Oh man,
at 10:55 in the morning. Good stuff.
He came out and said this will more than likely be his last season. in the NFL and as a
No, no, no,
Pittsburgh
no, no,
Steeler.
no. No, 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 no. He said this will be the last season playing quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
you got to read between the lines there.
all right. Well,
Just so you know.
if that's the case, Big Ben, I don't know what to tell you, brother. Hang him up.
Yeah.
But Phil, here's my question in all of this. Let's say it does mean retirement.
Yeah.
I know he still put up decent numbers. The Steelers defense has been really good the last couple of years. They've been in the mix, so to speak. But has the last couple of years of Ben Roethlisberger just not looking right kind of tainted your overall views of him and his career? Because he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, no doubt about it.
Has it tainted it? No. I mean, he's just been really banged up. I mean, he has not had a fully healthy season in 2-3 years now.
Yeah.
And think of him as what you will off the field, but as a football player, I mean, he's one of the toughest quarterbacks that I can remember in the last 20, 25 years. I mean, he just keeps taking those hits and just keeps going out there. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, him not even be able to get to the line of scrimmage, his offensive lineman carrying him down the field and stuff. I mean, he is just one tough SOB, and there's no doubt about it. And the team just hasn't been really good the last couple of years. I mean, they've transitioned from the older teams to the newer teams, and I don't know, running backs, James Conner got hurt, things like that. I don't know. I don't think it's tainted his career, but I would like to see him hang him up and not try to go elsewhere or play elsewhere because, look, I hate to see guys, just the way he's playing, he's not playing Ben Roethlisberger style football anymore. So that's what I mean. Yeah. Obviously affecting him.
Yeah. And maybe not tainted his career, but I think it's tainted the vision I have in my mind of who Big Ben is.
He still drops a big play here or there every single game. So he still has talent. It's just the banging up of his body has just caught up to him. Father Time, not everybody could play Super Bowl winning quarterback at 44 years old, or what was Peyton Manning, 41 when he called it a career, and Drew Brees. Not everybody could do that. And they protected their body throughout their career.
Even Peyton wasn't right in that last season.
His body. What's that?
Peyton wasn't right in that last season.
No, exactly. So, but they all protected their body. He didn't protect his body. Right. You know what I mean? So, it's just time before something serious happens. Before a really bad concussion happens, a really bad ankle injury happens, where the rest of his life is affected by it. So, it's just it was time for him to hang it up a year or two ago, in my opinion.
Yeah, remember Slim Ben? Remember when that was a thing this preseason? But all right, Jason said it's tainted because of injuries. One more quarterback, and this is more of a quarterback or not type of question. Played on Thursday night, just got his bag. Taysom Hill, QB or not QB? Phil?
He's absolutely not a QB. We talked about this on Friday morning on Trending in the AM. See, I can reference which show I talk. I got my notes here. You know what I mean? So talk about every one of these topics on some show. He's awful. He's just straight awful.
And I was watching that game.
I brought up on Trending in the AM on Friday, could you imagine Tim Tebow's career if Sean Payton got Tim Tebow? Because if he loves Taysom Hill the way he loves Taysom Hill, imagine what Tim Tebow would have done in New Orleans, because Tim Tebow was actually a little bit better of a passer than Taysom Hill even. And he could run the ball just like Taysom Hill. He could do everything else just like $90-some million for a guy like, oh my God, I don't even know what to say. I don't.
He's not a quarterback. Scotty, is anyone sharing that bottle with you? Or is it just you on that Espolon, brother? Yeah, here's my thing. I mean, I'm a little biased because I was a bettor who had Mark Ingram alt 40+ rush yards and didn't get there because he had 9 carries on Thursday night. But I'm sitting here watching that game, and Taysom Hill threw, I think, 35 or 36 passes and ran the ball over 12 times. So Taysom Hill accounted for, I don't know, 90% of their offense. And I'm sitting here like, Sean Payton, one of the all-time greatest coach, top 5 coach probably right now. What are you doing? And then I look at the rest of the roster. I'm like, does he really have another choice? Like Alvin Kamara is out, so it's either you feed 38-year-old Mark Ingram over and over again, and
they haven't had Michael Thomas all season.
Yeah, it's Marquez Callaway on the outside. So I'm sitting here.
Yeah, it's not a good team that they have. I mean, they still find ways to win. They're still in the playoff picture. They're still a good team. But, man, I would literally, honestly, start Trevor Siemian over Taysom Hill. That's how bad of a quarterback I rank Taysom Hill. In the quarterback rankings, I would put Siemian over Taysom Hill. I'd put Gardner Minshew over Hill. I'd put Jalen Hurts over Hill.
Boy.
we should just have a segment. Who would you take, Taysom Hill or this person?
Yeah.
I guarantee 99% of the time, I'm taking the other person.
Jarvis Landry as a quarterback.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, let's get into our games of the week. What games we're looking forward to the most on this week 13 slate, Phil? I'll throw a few at you, or if you have any, let me know. Here's my first one. It's just I think it's in the 1 o'clock slate. The LA Chargers versus the Cincinnati Bengals, 2 wild card teams in the AFC, fighting for positioning through that 5-7 matchup. Joe Burrow versus Justin Herbert, 2 young quarterbacks. These teams are weird to me because they've been very up and down this season. You know, the Bengals started out 4-1, 5-1. Then they went kind of on a little bit of a decline, losing 2 in a row or 3 in a row, and now they're kind of surging back up. Joe Mixon has become a phenom over the last couple of weeks. That receiving core in Cincinnati is really good. And on the other side, the Chargers are finding ways to win games, but that run defense stinks. So that's a problem in today's matchup. And Justin Herbert just hasn't quite looked right over the last couple of games to me. From what I've seen, he is a gunslinger. That and earlier in the year, it's all you heard. If you watch the game with him, the broadcast would only talk about that. And now you're just hearing the broadcast say, like, he just doesn't look the same. So what are your thoughts on that matchup today? Who do you think comes away with a victory?
It's actually one of the 3 games I love this week. Well, I mean, there's quite a few other games I like, but there's 3 really great games, and that's one of them. Because if you look at the AFC North and the AFC West, all 8 teams are 500 or better. You got the Chargers are a game out of first place behind the Chiefs. You got the Bengals a game behind the Ravens. So basically, they're playing in this game, not just all the things you talked about. They're playing for first place. They're playing for a division crown right now.
Yeah.
So if you look at other games right now in the NFL, you've got the Chiefs going against the Broncos, and you got Baltimore going against Pittsburgh. So 6 of those 8 teams are in 3 games, and they're all playing for first place dominance in their division. So all 3 games just meet. We're in week 13 now? Week 14, what is it? Week 13?
13.
You know, there is literally so much on the line in those 2 divisions this week. And I think that game, though, the Chargers-Bengals game, is the toughest to call because of all the reasons you said, how they've been up and down this year. You got young quarterbacks and stuff like that. You got a bad rush defense. There's so much going on that game. That's why it's only I think it went down to 2 points or 2.5 points the line.
I have it at 3 right now.
Okay, it went back up to 3. Over under was 50 on it. I mean, it's a really tough game to call, but it's probably going to be one of the more exciting shootout games that are going on, this week.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. When I look at this game, I don't know. I don't know if I would lay the 3, but I really like Cincinnati in this game, I think.
I just wouldn't bet this game because both teams have been way too inconsistent. Both teams are playing too much. Maybe you lay the over the 50, maybe. Sometimes when 2 teams are this evenly matched and they're projected to go really high in points, sometimes you end up with the under ends up hitting just because of, the offense is just controlling the ball too much, longer drives and stuff like that. I just stay away from a betting purpose. I will say in a fantasy perspective, I literally have in every single one of my DFS lineups on DraftKings, either Mixon or Eckler. And in some of my lineups, I've found ways to build lineups with both Mixon and Eckler in my lineups. They're both slam dunk fantasy plays because they're both going to touch the ball so much today. They're both going to score touchdowns. They're both going to be focal points of this game. So it's a fun, exciting game. I just wouldn't bet it in a betting perspective.
Yeah, both of those backs, I think, average over 4.5 per pop. But yeah, I'm with you. I think if I had to lean away, I would go Bengals. I don't think there's a way.
I guess you just Chargers. I mean, if you look at the 3-point line, the Bengals are the home team. You get 3 points for being the home team. So they're basically saying that this is a pick'em game right now.
Right.
So, you almost have to take an alternate spread or play the over if you really want to bet this game because it is that close of a game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Jason is all in on the Miami Dolphins, Phil.
Yeah.
He's been preaching that to me for this week. So we'll see. Who's Miami have this week?
Miami has the Giants, and Daniel Jones is out for the game. The thing that scares me there on that game is that the line has, since they moved Daniel Jones to out from questionable, the line has stayed the same. So it's been 6.5 all week long. It's still 6.5. The over-under has come down from 45, 46 all the way down to 40. So now they're saying basically the Giants can't score. I do love the Dolphins. I've got them locked in earlier this week at -6.5 as one of my locks this week. And I do have a fantasy lineup where I stacked Tua and Jalen Waddle because, they're both trending up big time. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be a really boring game because the Dolphins should win that with the way they've been playing. They should win that game easily, 30-10, 31-10, something like that.
All right, well, I think we're going to agree on what the final game of the three that we have is. But who's your other game of the week that I'm not seeing?
Games to enjoy as a fan or games to bet and play with?
Games to enjoy.
I love the Washington Las Vegas game in a betting perspective and a fantasy perspective. It was
why
when I did my fantasy show on Thursday. It was the fourth highest projected point total. It's come up a little bit. It's only projected at 49, the over/under right now. That game is going to be, you mark my words, the highest scoring football game this week. There'll be more fantasy points, more touchdowns scored, more everything scored in that game than anything. I that was the first bet I made was over 49, Washington, Las Vegas. So I love that game from a betting perspective.
That game has some playoff implications as well. When you look at Washington have just crawled into a wild card position. What are your thoughts there? I know who's right below Washington, the Vikings, and
they're all kind of in the same.
Obviously the Eagles are right there too, and the Falcons.
Still.
Yeah.
The Vikings. There are boatloads. The 49ers are there. The Vikings, the Falcons.
So let me ask you. A team we talked about before this season, being in the NFC East with the Eagles and the Washington football team, we had them with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Obviously, that hasn't come out. It's the Taylor Heineke show now. But their defense started off very poor this season when we thought it was going to be a premier unit in the league. They've kind of come back. Even though they've lost Chase Young, they've gotten a little bit better over the last couple of weeks. Taylor Heineke is winning ball games. Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, Logan Thomas has just come back. That's your boy. What do you think of this Washington team? Are they a pretender? Are they not going to make the playoffs? Or we kind of had them in that division mix with the Cowboys before the year?
Look, the Washington football team they're contenders for a wild card spot, but so are 12 other teams. You know what I mean? So outside the top 3 or 4 teams in the NFC, it doesn't really matter who makes the playoffs. There's going to be so many mediocre teams that make the playoffs. I think the key thing, what was that?
Jason said it was just announced.
Yeah. Okay. No surprise there. The key for me with this Washington football team is Antonio Gibson. They finally are starting to do what they're supposed to do and feed him the ball. You look, he was getting 8 touches, 12 touches, 10 touches early in the season. The last couple of weeks, he's had 24, 19, and 29 rushes, along with 10 targets out of the backfield. So they're finally doing what they said they were going to do all year long and feed Antonio Gibson the ball nonstop. He had 7 targets in the pass game last week, along with 29 rushes. I mean, that's
well, I have him in 2 of my fantasy leagues, so thank God
when you have a feature running back, that's what you do. Yeah. You give him the ball 30 times a game.
Yeah.
And guess what? They won last week.
I've been crying for it for the last 11 weeks in fantasy football, and
he might be chalky. He might be highly owned in daily fantasy this week and all, but he will be he's a slam dunk play in DFS fantasy this week. There's no doubt about it. He'll score well over 20 points this week in DFS.
All right.
Well over it. Well north of 20.
So that was a game that I saw as well. There's a bunch of locks, I guess, so to speak, you could throw out there.
I love the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game as an over as well.
As an over, okay.
As an over 44, yeah. Baltimore is not as great of a defense as they used to be. They're still kind of, Lamar Jackson had probably his worst game in the last 2 years last week. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to do better this week. I love Lamar Jackson this week. I love them scoring a lot of points in that game. I think the Rams cover the 13 over Jacksonville. I think there's a lot of good betting options this week. There really is. I don't even want to read all these comments anymore. This is what we're going to have to deal with all week.
Jason had a typo.
Yeah, I see it.
Enjoy yourself, bro.
Yeah.
Another game normally I'd be very excited for would be that NFC West battle between the Niners and the Seahawks, but the Seahawks are just not right now. Russ is not cooking right now. He doesn't look right. He can't find Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf.
Well,
They don't have a run game with Alex Collins back there. They're a mess. I think the Niners.
my point on that game is, will Russell Wilson go down, or will he like will a team to a victory? Because is he going to go down like this? Is he going to go down? And what are they, 3-8 at this point? Are they really, is he really going to let his record show that kind of a season and stuff like that? You got to think at some point he pulls some Russell Wilson magic out and has a really good game. And that's where I'm leaning with that game, is just he's not going to go down without a fight, no matter how bad the team is. So, any division rival game is always fun to watch for any team.
It's all you can hope for a future Eagle, but
yeah, exactly.
We'll see. All right, I got to take you. The last game that I have my eye on, obviously, you can look at Kansas City and Denver, but I think the Chiefs are just
I actually think Denver can cover that spread, because I don't know what's at now, but I know earlier in the week it was 9.5. So it's come down. See, 9. I got it locked in at 9 plus 9.5 Denver, because those the AFC West is just like the NFC East. They're never blowout games. No. Never. So Denver's good enough to keep that game close.
I think myself included wrote Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs off a little too early this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're healthy on defense now, and Patrick has sort of not figured it out, but it has come back to previous form. I got to take you to the AFC East.
Mm-hmm.
Monday Night Football. Yep. That's the last.
I'm not betting this game at all.
No, I'm not touching it.
Exactly. It's a slam dunk as the most important and exciting game this week on the slate of all the games.
But I mean, dude, what is going on? What is in the water in New England? And we're talking about this matchup that has, division title on the line, that has playoff implications on the line, but it's not the Bills that are on top. Right now, it's Mac Jones and Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, number one in the AFC East. Talk to me about this game. I don't even know where to begin. There's a lot to talk about.
Look, I'd be one of the people that said in the draft that Mac Jones shouldn't have been drafted in the first round. There's no point in my mind that I saw Mac Jones as a first round quarterback. Yeah. But I also said Mac Jones' style was paired perfectly with Bill Belichick. Right. Look, Tom Brady said, "Hold my beer. I'm going to go to Tampa and win a Super Bowl." Well, Bill Belichick's now like, "All right, well, here's my beer. Watch what I can do with Mac Jones." And I don't think the storyline is as important on the Patriots side, because if the Patriots lose this game or don't win the division or miss the playoffs, the storyline will be easy. Well, they had a really good season. They had a young quarterback. The building blocks are there. This was Josh Allen's breakout year. He was one of the favorites to win the MVP. You saw an upward trend in Josh Allen's career the first 3 years, and this was the year. Tom Brady was gone. Some of the other teams, and like Patrick Mahomes coming down a little bit to earth. This is Josh Allen's year. And what has he done? He's kind of crapped the bed based off of his expectations and standards. They still have no running game. They don't know what to do with Singleton and Zach Moss. And now they're throwing Matt Breida into the equation. He's getting touches, throwing, fantasy football, even bigger loops there and everything. This game and this division is so important for Buffalo. So this is another absolute must-win game for Buffalo today or tonight. Is it tonight or tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night. It's Monday Night Football.
Yeah. It's an actual really good Monday Night Football game.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will be talking about it tomorrow morning. Yeah. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like you said, there are less than high expectations before this year in Foxborough. And when you look at the Bills, they were the 1 or 2 in the AFC. I mean, obviously the Browns were out there as well in that conversation, and they've, with all the injuries and everything they've gone through, they are back down here. The Titans are all banged up. No Derrick Henry, no Julio Jones, no AJ Brown. It's really, you would say that as of right now, the Bills are the number 1 team to beat in the AFC, and that's just not the case standing wise. Josh Allen, I believe the game is in Buffalo. It is. So again, Phil, they're only 3-point favorites.
Yeah.
Exactly. At home. So they're basically calling it a pick 'em, maybe a little bit of a disrespect, a little bit of a slight to Buffalo there. But I do want to talk 2 things real quick on the New England side. The Mac Jones thing is a great point. I wasn't a Mac Jones guy either in the first round. But it was well documented from a lot of experts that he was the most pro ready, right? And when you throw him in that system with Bill Belichick in New England.
With no weapons, mind you.
No, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, they don't have a number 1 wide receiver. They don't have a number 1. They don't have a top 10 running back.
No, I get that.
Good tight ends. They just have a really great coach and a really great offensive line.
Yeah. But I gotta stop hearing if we redraft the 2021 draft or the 2020 draft, because it was that he was the most pro ready. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, they weren't pro ready yet. Everyone knew that. So let's stop saying Mac Jones would be the number 1 overall pick if we redrafted, because he wouldn't have been, right? But you brought up the Brady and Belichick conversation. It's something I said to Scotty about 3 weeks ago on this show. How do the tides kind of change in that conversation? Because it was always GOAT and GOAT, right? When they were together. And then Tom left, and it was, okay, well, which one built it? Right. Tom left, first season, wins a Super Bowl. Conversation over, right? Now, following year, Bill's got a rookie quarterback. Like you said, Nelson Aguilar might be wide receiver 1 or 2 on that team. They got Jalen Mills starting at cornerback, right? All these former Eagles. And it's, let me ask you this. If the Patriots go further than the Bucs, just not win a Super Bowl or anything, but go further than the Bucs do with Tom, when Tom has all that great supporting cast in Tampa. If they, let's say, get to the AFC Championship and Tom is a second round exit or something in the playoffs, right? Is the conversation back?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it actually went away as quickly as everybody said it did. Last year, the Patriots stunk. They obviously did. You know, they put all their eggs in the Cam Newton basket, and it didn't work out. But they also had like 471 people opt out because of COVID last year.
Yeah.
Literally 8/10 of their starting defense backed out last year.
And then I think they got hit with COVID, right?
And then they had a COVID break with who they did have. So their defense was obviously going to be better this year. They're 5-0 on the road this year, the Patriots. That's not because of Mac Jones. That's because they have the second lowest scoring defense. They've only given up 190 points. And you know who the number 1 defense is? The Bills at 182 points only given up. So while Mac Jones has played really well for a rookie quarterback, while Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels has that offense humming just right, and they're doing all the right things, the Patriots are good because they've got their defense back. The Patriots are good because there's a lot of parity in the AFC. Literally, you can name 7 different teams right now and give me a reason why they could come out as the AFC East, the AFC champions, and win that conference, because there is no dominant team. So I think all the factors play in. So I think people were just writing off the Bill Belichick because Brady won last year. Brady was going to win last year no matter what, because he had so many weapons last year. He had weapons he had never even dreamed of having since Randy Moss left. So
I got a question for you. This is a side note before we get to Pigskin Picks, but I'm watching the NFL Countdown before we started today, and they're talking about the Antonio Brown suspension.
Okay.
And how Tom needs him. And they're throwing all this out there, and they're just saying how the Bucs, Tom needs AB and they can't be successful. And I'm just like, what? I'm not saying Antonio Brown isn't important to Tampa's success.
Right.
But what else does the GOAT need? I mean, Gronk's back. You have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin already. You have one of the best offensive lines in football. Leonard Fournette just scored 4 touchdowns last week, and you had that defense and that pass rush. What? He needs Antonio Brown. How much?
Where was Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Toms last year before Antonio Brown signed? They were middling. Antonio Brown is an elite wide receiver.
No, I know. Trust me, I understand.
He does things that other guys. Mike Evans is an amazing wide receiver. Chris Godwin, amazing wide receiver. Antonio Brown just does things differently.
I understand, but
and they don't need him. I know what you're saying, but Antonio Brown does make that big of a difference. He really
they're on
does.
The screen like crying for Tom Brady, he's not going to win he can't compete unless AB's out there too. Like, my God, dude, what the hell? Yeah. All right, Phil, let's get to our Pigskin Picks before we wrap up today's show. I got Scotty's here, so I'll just read them out real quick. He's also going Eagles in the Eagles-Jets matchup. But for his lock, he's got the Rams over the Jags. And his upset, the game we just talked about, he's going with New England on the road Monday night over the Buffalo Bills. I'll defer to you. You're the guest.
Are these picks based off of the lines or just straight up picks?
So our upset is kind of, they have to be a line upset.
Okay, so somebody beating the line, yeah. All right,
yeah, but the lock doesn't have to be the spread. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I mean, the Eagles are a lock. I mean, in my opinion, but no, I won't use that. So since he picked the Patriots to upset. I'll go away from that. I'll pick Cincinnati or the Chargers to upset Cincinnati.
Ooh.
I don't even think they'll cover. I'm not even worried about the 3-point line. I think the Chargers win that game outright.
Outright.
Outright. I'll make that my upset of the week. I'm just winging this here.
Yeah.
Because I have actually not bet a single, underdog this week. I have not, but I'm gonna make some picks here. So that's that lock. I mean, again, to go against I don't want to pick the Rams and stuff like that since he did. The Colts are going to beat the Texans, and they're going to continue their upward trajectory of hurting. They're giving us a first-round pick. It's just going to keep getting worse and worse. So the Colts will beat the Texans. So that's my lock of the week.
Yeah, I do, as of right now, have the same lock as Scotty. I do have the Rams over the Jags. You mentioned the Colts. You can go Bucks over Falcons.
Actually, can I touch on that game really, really quick?
Yeah.
What is more important? Because when we were talking Eagles-Jets, how important it is for the Eagles to make a statement win. Is there any team that needs a statement win more this week than the Rams over the Jags? Like, they need to win that game convincingly. They've been they're the new dream team. They're the new, everybody's all in on. Yeah. Matthew Stafford has had weapons before and not really done much. And all of a sudden, he's got all these weapons. They're 7-4. They're kind of floundering a little bit there. They need to come out and win like 35-0 or 41-10 or something like that. They could and they should, but they need it more than anybody else, in my opinion.
Yeah, when you use the term need, I don't think there is a team out there that needs it more, that needs a statement win more. When you're looking at their opponent, which you would equate to the level of opponent or just a little bit better than who the Eagles have today. And I'm saying this game's boring. The Eagles aren't even a good team. Right. So if you're a Rams fan, if you believe in the Rams,
Jags going East Coast to West Coast,
right?
They're a bad team.
And it's like this, dude. Speaking of the Brady needing AB thing, and it's how much do you need? Don't get me wrong. I know Robert Woods is a really good receiver in this league. I know he did a lot of different stuff in that offense for Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford before he got hurt. And I know OBJ is not his old self, but you look at that offense and you look at that defense and everything. And I'm hearing last week how, OBJ in this offense, they can't replace Robert Woods and Stafford. You figure it out. Okay, when you have that many options, when you have that much talent, when you're that stacked on defense, when you have that play caller and quarterback, you figure it the hell out. I don't want to hear that they can't win because they Robert Woods went out for the season. I don't want to hear that. Okay, so yeah, I agree with you. I think they need this more than any team in the league right now. But yeah, the Cardinals, I believe Kyler and D-Hop are back today over the Bears. There's a lot of locks, we could say. If you're a gambling person, I know it's a little bit risky, but it is all money line. You could parlay like 4 of the locks. I believe it's like Tampa, Colts, Cardinals, and Rams, and you get plus money. I think it's like plus 187 or something like that. So that's not a bad play there. My upset of the week, where is it? Oh, it's not much. It's not too big of an upset, but by the line terms, I'm going to go with the Washington football team over the Las Vegas Raiders this week. I do like Antonio Gibson. I do like Terry McLaurin. I think their defense makes a few more plays than the Raiders defense does today. Phil, any final thoughts or words on this Week 13 slate or the Eagles game before we get started?
It's just time. There's a lot of games going on with there's a lot of divisions and wildcard spots that are really bunched together. And this Week 13, there's a lot of matchups between teams fighting for position. So this is going to be the week where people separate themselves a little bit and make the Rams need to make a statement. The Eagles need to make a statement, but a lot of teams need to make a statement. The Broncos can make a statement by just even staying close to the Chiefs. There's so many statements that can be made, whether it's Joe Burrow making a statement or Justin Herbert making a statement, whether Lamar Jackson or Big Ben says, I'm going to make a statement. This is my last year. Let's make one final push. This is this week of statements. And we're going to learn a lot this week, which is great because next week we won't have much to talk about, Eagles being on bye. So next week we can talk about all the statements that are made today. And that's what I'm focused in on this week is statements being made.
All right. I'm with you, man. That's going to wrap up this episode of Turf Talk, the Sunday edition. And guys, as you know, DSM Media and Turf Talk are brought to you by Manscaped. So it is Christmas time, if you're feeling festive, if you're feeling like you want to buy someone a gift, head on over to manscaped.com, where Manscaped is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code TURF20 at manscaped.com. Manscaped engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and incredibly comfortable grooming experience. Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. This upgraded trimmer includes a multi-function on and off switch that can engage a travel lock. It also gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. And did I mention the wireless charging? The new wireless charging system uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last longer. Get 20% off and free shipping with code TURF20 at manscaped.com. Again, that is 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using our promo code TURF20. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Your balls will certainly thank you. Guys, thank you so much to everyone who watched, who's going to watch, and of course, Jason and all the commenters throughout today's show. We appreciate you. Head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. You can find our link tree in our bio. It leads you to all our social media outlets, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We are on everything. And hit that follow button as well. And Jason said it best. You can see Phil, Eagles halftime show, and Eagles aftermath right here on DSM Media today. For myself, for Phil, for DSM Media, have a nice day and go Birds.
Go Birds!